This episode is brought to you by Muntins Malts, a company that is passionate about providing premium malts to brewers worldwide. For over a century, Muntins has been a leading supplier of brewing and distilling malts, offering the finest British malted barley on the market. You can experience the difference Muntins offers by joining a recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club, because every kit that ships out now includes premium Muntins malt. You know, we've known the Muntins crew for a long time, and I can tell you, friend, you're going to love brewing with their grains. Ask your local supply shop to carry Muntins malts, or homebrewers can join our Trub Club at homebrewhappyhour.com/club, be a part of the community, and come brew with us. Thank you, Muntins, for supporting our efforts and homebrewers worldwide. Today's show is brought to you by Hopsdirect.com. Grown in the esteemed Yakima Valley on the Peterball family farm, Hopsdirect.com offers the widest variety of hops available online at incredibly competitive pricing. It's simple. They grow hops, they sell hops, and they ship hops straight from their family-owned farm to your doorstep. Producing the highest quality hops is Hopsdirect.com's passion, and they're proud to be an independent grower in the craft beer industry. Go to Hopsdirect.com right now and get what you need to make your brew day better. That's Hopsdirect.com. Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch-right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at homebrewhappyhour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
Is this the ultimate all-in-one extract brewing system? An interview with Alex Dixon from Pinter.com. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 378. Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. And if you, my friend, have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you could go to homebrewhappyhour.com. You could click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or even better, you could call it in. Leave a voicemail to 325-305-6107, and if I play that voicemail feedback, or preferably a question, on a future episode, you get yourself a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. I'm one of your hosts, Joshua Stubing. This week is very special. We had to put it off. We'll get into that. But I am joined today by Alex Dixon, the co-founder of Pinter, which is an innovative brewing system that aims to make brewing more simple, more enjoyable, and more sustainable. Alex, my friend, hey, it's good to see you. Thanks for coming on the show.
It's my pleasure. It's good to see you again.
I'm glad, and you are such a saint. When we were first organizing this through your marketing director, I believe is who she is, terribly nice lady. I didn't realize we were doing it on your vacation time, and you're such a sport. You were like, "Oh, we'll make it work. I'll do it on my," and I'm like, no. But because of poor cellular technology in the United States, our infrastructure is crumbling. I don't know if you've seen this on the news, but because of all that, we weren't able to get it done, so we had to push it back a week. But you just got back. You're probably jet lagged to hell, but you made it. You're on the show.
Fresh off the plane. No, we're all good. Yeah.
Fresh.
I had a great 3 weeks over in the US. So
3 weeks. Dang.
3 weeks.
Y'all know how to vacate. That's the thing with.
Well, no, that wasn't all vacation.
No, that's what I'm saying. Y'all. Oh, it wasn't all. It wasn't all.
No, 50% work, 50% vacation.
Okay, I don't know if Brits are the same as Germans. We do manufacturing in Germany, and I feel like they're off all the time. And it's like, it's so hard to coordinate Zoom meetings with them. Like, sorry, Josh, we'll be out for 19 days for Strudel Fest and blah, blah. It's like, like, wait a second.
We've just had Easter. So we've had, a few days off over Easter. And it's definitely a different culture, the vacations for sure.
Yeah, no, and I envy it. Over here, we have this weird, like, machismo, you work till you die. We work 18-hour day. I just don't have it. I think I'm European at heart. But yeah, like I said, the Germans, man, they've got it down. But that one part down. They got some stuff wrong in past. But
they do good beer. They do very good beer.
They have great beer. They do have great beer. And that is the point of this show. Sometimes I have to apologize too. I digress a lot, and normally they're my co-hosts who I don't invite them on interviews anymore because it annoys them. They normally rein me in. So anytime, feel free to be like, Josh, we're way off topic. Why are we talking about the Queen or whatever? But anyway, Alex, before we get to actually the meat and potatoes of Pinter and all that, if you don't mind, let me go through some small housekeeping stuff that I've got to get through for the show. Guys, if y'all want to brew April's Kit, it's a delicious English brown ale. It's available to recipe receiving members of patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. This is one of Todd's recipes. It's delicious. It's appropriate. It's English, Alex. The English have made good beer too. They're known for it. And this is a style we really enjoy. It's a little bit nuttier than like an American brown ale. We're excited to get it in y'all's hands. So again, patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. Thank you to our sponsors, Muntins Malt, hopsterette.com, and of course, Imperial Yeast. Also, that means Brew Day Live is coming up. When you're listening to this, it's 1 week away, Friday, April 19th at 10 a.m. Central. Come hang out with my pop and I. I'm not sure if Todd's going to be on it. It's going to be right before we head out to Vegas for CBC, the Craft Brewers Conference, which also, if you're going to be in Vegas, come hang out with us. I don't have booth numbers in front of me now. We're going to be, Todd and I are switching back and forth between the Fox Equipment booth and the Hubertus Beer booth. So if you're in Vegas the week of Craft Brewers Conference, come hang out with us. We'd love to see you there. But if you're not, hey, you could go to youtube.com/homebrew happy hour on Friday, April 19th and join the brewing fun while my pop and I do the English brown ale. We're going to make that as we have been trying to brew every monthly kit this year. That's been my commitment. And I haven't dropped out yet like other commitments. I'm really bad. I'm flaky, Alex. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. And then final piece of housekeeping. When you're watching this, we are doing Kolsch Cup. It's right now, April 11th through the 13th. That's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. This Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You can also watch that. I don't believe we're going to be live by the time you're watching this because the internet at the ranch where we're doing this is terrible. But I'm going to publish it right after. So either go to youtube.com/homebrew happy hour and click on the live tab to see if we are, or you'll see it pop up in the video feed. I just can't promise we're going to live stream this because we're recording it from a place with spotty internet. But again, Kolsch Cup, we are very excited. Been receiving a ton of packages with beer in it. It's like Christmas. I enjoy it. It's my favorite time. And if you're watching this at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour, you'll see on the screen the shirt design that everybody gets. And then there's runner-up trophies for second and third place. And then a huge, massive, stupidly expensive grand champion trophy for our first place guy. Turns out, Alex, like these kinds of things, we thought, oh, we can make a little bit of money and have fun. No, I spent it all on shirts and trophies. So no money made. I'm bad at math again. It used to be a shtick that I'm an idiot, and then it turned out, no, it's just a lifestyle. So
Excel's not your strong point.
It's really not. No. And and most people are like, oh, what is your strong point? And I'm just like, yeah, let's just keep talking. Let's just move on. But anyways, all the housekeeping stuff, when people comment on the show that don't like it, they're like, get past the small talk. Just go to the show. This was record times, guys. This was in under 10 minutes. We're getting to the meat and potatoes. So anyways, my guest, Alex Dixon. Pinter is, y'all did a launch, I believe, a holiday, or it's like November of 2023 here in the States. But you've been in the UK. So let's talk about the formation. Like what led to the creation of Pinter and what exactly is Pinter? Like what Pinter.com is not just a website. The product is called Pinter. So let's talk about the history of the whole thing.
Yeah, sure. So I'll give you a brief history before we launched the product of the Pinter. So I met my business partner Ralph at college, university in Manchester, which is the northwest of the UK. And we actually had another business at the time. So we've been business partners since we were like 18 years old, which is 50% of my life, over 50% of my life ago now. So we've been business partners for a long time, and I got to sort of the last couple of years of university, and I just started playing around with some cider home brewing. So very basic off the shelf stuff that I did in literally plastic tubs and as lots of people do to start with. Anyway, I would bring these 2 litre bottles of cider to a hard apple cider to parties, and Ralph just couldn't be bothered to do it, but he loved the taste of it. He was like, oh, how do you do that? And I explained all siphoning it off, and he was like, nah, that's not for me, but I love the taste. And it just, an idea came up from there really, which is a long time ago now. And it took a year or two to sort of turn into a business, I suppose. But the premise of it was, the first business was called Stew Brew, and the idea was we were just going to rebrand homebrew kits, like the extract kits, just rebrand it and try and sell it to students, because at the time in Britain, I'm sure it was similar in the US, but it was cheap alcohol, for students was a big thing, especially in our that time, 2004, 2005. So we that's where it started really. And then the first product, it evolved from just rebranding to students, and it evolved into being, let's just make this as simple as possible. Let's make it Ralph proof. Like he can't be bothered to do any of this process. So let's just strip the process right back to basics. And so the first product we actually launched was basically just a bag-in-box hard apple cider kit. And it was literally as you can imagine, a bag with a umbrella valve on top. So no pressure, and a tap on the bottom. And it was in a box, and the customer just added yeast and water, let it ferment. Would never fit in your fridge, but cider was okay. You can get some ice cubes, and it worked. And we launched that, and we were selling quite sizable volumes of that into UK gift market, essentially Christmas markets, you imagine. And we were doing that alongside our other business. We then sold that other business, which was music festivals, so another quite fun business. And then we focused on this on what turned out to be Pinter. So the early formation of our business, as I say, was about simplicity, and we really wanted to be in the supermarkets and be a different option for people. So you can buy a crate of beer or cider, or you can make it yourself. We wanted to try and create this new category, essentially. And that went on for a few years. And then I reckon in about 2018, we launched a product, and the war on plastics came out. David Attenborough, I don't know if you've seen the program or if that came across the US or not, but there's a really famous guy called David Attenborough who's like the sweetest old guy you've ever met, and he does lots of nature documentaries. Yep. It was a massive turning point in the UK with recyclable, reusable stuff, especially plastics. And at the time, our product had evolved, and it was a one-use plastic 10-pint cider kit. And we sat there and we just knew that wasn't the future for the business. It wasn't going to work in that format. So we made like a really brave decision to basically come up with a Pinter, which is a reusable version of the same equipment. Launched that in 20. That took a couple of years to develop, and launched that in 2020, everyone's favorite year. And the rest is history, and it's been a real roller coaster, enjoyable ride. Yeah.
To be fair, 2020. So we used to be in the ingredient side of stuff. Now we just do like draft dispensing solutions. But 2020 in the U.S., when people were shut in, either voluntarily or their governments told them or whatever, we had like a spike of where all these people were like, I want to try brewing too. So for a system like yours, it kind of could have been great timing in regards to like a hobbyist that doesn't want to be too monetarily invested. And then they also want it as simple as possible, and they don't want to have to buy a new fridge, and they don't want to have to do that. The timing, as much as 2020 was terrible, guys, I don't want to get a 1-star review because he's making light of COVID. No, I'm not. But I'm just saying, in the bigger picture of things, that timing wasn't terrible for launching a product like what you're doing.
The business went crazy. Like the growth was in like, we probably, I don't know this, but we probably were one of the fastest growing UK businesses at the time. Overnight, we grew from when we launched the product, there was 6 of us in a 2,000 square foot warehouse. And within, I think it was about 6 months, we had 211 staff.
Whoa! And
we had, it was insane, the growth. Like we just obviously massively fueled by COVID, that everyone was at home and looking for things to do at home. And it was massively fueled things for sure. But it was we were 24/7 because we were manufacturing. I still sit in, we converted our manufacturing site into an office in the end, and then turned manufacturing around the corner. But we were making these machines ourselves as well, which is just absolutely crazy in COVID, with all the restrictions, and you can imagine with how it was back then. And we made all of the beers ourselves, the refills, the fresh presses. So we were blending and filling all of that ourselves as well, and having to, you imagine going from 0 sales to, 1 month we sold 8,000 pinters in the UK, which is pretty big.
Wow. That's a lot.
It's a lot. And, every pinter comes with, 2 kits. So, it was a substantial, operation that we had to set up in, months within COVID. It was a crazy ride.
Wow.
And now we've learned all the mistakes, and we've probably outsourced everything and consolidated the business to like a stable, less chaotic position now.
But were y'all at the time in 2020 UK exclusive, or where you're at, is it easier to get into the European market as well because of location, or were y'all just doing exclusively UK?
We were doing exclusively UK. We had this silly thing called Brexit, you might have heard of.
That's why hey, listen, I was trying to not argue with semantics, but that's why I said you guys and then Europe. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm jesting a bit. I mean, it has put barriers up in general to general trade between us and our friends in Europe. But no, we couldn't even keep up with the orders in the UK at the time. And over the years we've learned, and we just know and knew that the US was where the home of the business needed to be in terms of the next growth opportunity. It just is so suited to the American culture and lifestyle, and well, we hope so anyway. We hope we got it.
Yeah. I was trying to find a way to make that a dig. Like, what are you trying to say, Alex? That we we like simple stuff. How dare you? That's again part of my shtick. Yes, I'm I'm a simple man. In the UK, do y'all have? And I'm not comparing y'all to this, but when you're talking about y'all's initial growth or your first product being like in the gift market, that reminds me of a competitor of yours, Mr. Beer, where but like, do y'all have that in the UK? You familiar with the kids?
I'm familiar with Mr. Beer. Yeah.
So, but what always got me about those is that they were only like aimed at impulse buyers that were looking for dad for Father's Day, and they happened to be at the mall and they saw it on the shelf. Like that's right. That's not the demographic. You're not going for. I mean, however you can get in the door, but your target demographic wasn't just, hey, this is a great gift for dad. It was like, no, we're trying to give people fresh beer at home that they make themselves.
Yeah, and the other thing that we did, Josh, was we spent a lot of time on the aesthetics and the design and the customer experience and the journey they go through. So this is an awful thing to say. I'm not trying to compare ourselves to Apple, but like the experience you go through when you buy an Apple product is so amazing. And we've taken like notes as much as we can, like the unboxing experience we have, we disproportionately invest in our packaging just because when you open it for the first time, we want like a wow factor and just feel like you've got a really amazing quality product. So yeah, not only that, but there's the environmental benefits that you alluded to as well. Just opening up different markets and not just, as you say, just the common perception of someone who would want a home brew.
Right. Well, and also too, there you have to. I know that y'all. We talked a little before, and I've talked with your marketing director. You're also not Mr. Beer benefits from we're dirt cheap, and they don't put a lot of thought into not just packaging, but the beer itself. The beer that they're sending you that you're making in a Mr. Beer kit. I've never heard anyone compliment. If people go and Google y'all's kits, you're working with brewmasters of making this stuff. You're not just throwing it together, right? Like, what are the thoughts behind? Well, you know what? And I'm getting ahead of myself, Alex. We have video content coming out of an unboxing and using the unit, which I'm very excited to publish soon. But go tell us what the Pinter people listening. Yeah. I totally overstepped that. I was just going into whatever. But what is the unit?
Yeah.
What does it do?
Yeah. Yeah. No, let's take one step back, I suppose. Yeah. So we're on to our third version, which is we launched with Pinter 1, Pinter 2, and now we're on to Pinter 3. So we've cycled through iterations. We've massively invested in the tech team here. So we've had a big team of product designers and engineers here and brewers working on making the end-to-end experience really great. But yeah, in a nutshell, as you alluded to at the start, I think we're probably the only all-in-one brewing and conditioning and tapping device that there is. I could definitely be proved wrong, but as far as I'm aware, so basically the Pinter is you attach it to what we call the brewing dock, which basically just collects all the trub. We ferment at pressure, so the Pinter is vertical during fermentation. You get to the end of fermentation, all the yeast drops out into what we call the brewing dock. The Pinter ferments at pressure. When you get to the end, you detach the Pinter from the brewing dock. The brewing dock, all the waste just goes down the sink, or lots of our customers make bread and other interesting things with the spent yeast. And then the Pinter goes horizontally and it goes into the fridge, and then it conditions the head pressure, the CO2 that's obviously produced during fermentation. That then absorbs into the beer, or more so than it already has at the lower temperatures. That carbonates the beer. What we've also invented is what we call the active pour tap. Now that is a tap that is essentially a flow control valve that is operated by the actuation of the handle. So the more you pull it forward, the more it opens the valve. And then what it means that the customer can tap the beer from high pressure all the way through to low pressure, which there is not a tap out there that you don't have to intervene by changing the flow control, whereas we've integrated that flow control within the tap. So end to end, and then you then use that head pressure to do the dispensing. So you don't let oxygen in to the Pinter. So yeah, there's no like secondary fermentation, there's no rebottling, etc. Yeah.
It's really an incredible concept. Like I said, I don't have the beer on tap yet. It's in the process of it. But it is crazy easy to use the system. And also what y'all did, you're trying to, correct me if I'm wrong, what it feels like from the whole experience is making or enabling people to make beer without overthinking the process. You're holding our hands, and I mean that in a good way. That's not derogatory. You're holding the people's hands through the process so that the beer turns out how it was intended.
That's right. But still feel like they've done something. So, it still feels like your own beer that you've made.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Which is the dream. I prefer just going to the store and relabeling it and telling my friends it's my beer. I skipped the ultimate step. And then also too, I don't want to jump even further, but this I think is part of it while we're talking about it. The app is also, when in the whole process, especially when you first buy it and you'll have my email, I'm welcome to this whole process of onboarding, basically, right? Like, hey, you've got your unit. Here's what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. Get the app. And then on brew day, you're telling it what you're doing. And it comes up with reminders throughout the process, like, hey, right now your beer is doing this, and telling the user the process through textual updates on the app. And then like, hey, it's been 10 days. It's time for this or whatever. What was the idea for this? Just like, we want people making good beer without being worried that they're doing something wrong. That's right. Yeah. So we wanted to support the customer through the whole process. And it does. The app does take you all the way through from the unboxing experience, all the way through to rating the beers, help and support. All of the instructions are, we're pretty proud of the instructions, which is pretty sad, isn't it? But they're really beautifully animated instructions because although it's a really simple device, there's still process involved, and because it's a physical product, we felt like do you have IKEA in the US? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. How many times you've like ripped your hair out from looking at those instructions? So we wanted these like beautifully animated instructions, and if you have a go on it, you'll see what I mean, basically. But it really takes you through that whole process. One other feature I forgot to mention, actually, which is quite important, is that we brought in after Pinter 1, so from Pinter 2 onwards, was this ability to add hop oils into or other flavors or other things that we are yet to develop into the pinter without losing the pressure, and that's really key to getting some like really amazing dry hop flavors at the back end of post fermentation, and without oxidizing the beer, obviously. That's right. So it's like a submarine. You sort of you screw in this hopper, which is got covered with foil. You screw it in, it pierces the foil, allows the liquids to run into the post-fermented beer, and then you're good to go. And you don't lose any CO2 out of the process. And like I said, mine's not done. I'm not going to publish a video till I do the whole process. I don't want to miss parts. But I had a buddy I was telling it about because I received it a couple weeks ago. I'm just slow and lazy. Sorry, guys. The content's coming. But he was asking me because I had initially asked, y'all have Cecilia, I believe her name is. Again, super nice lady. She was like, hey, whatever recipe, pick one, we'll send it to you. And I saw some coming soon, and I was like, oh, I want the lager. And she's like, no, it's not ready yet. That's why it says coming soon, idiot. And I was like, oh, okay, I can't read. But a buddy of mine, when I was telling about the thing, I was like, oh, I'm going to try the lager at some point. And he was like, wait a second. How are they doing this? And I was trying to tell him how the joys of pressure fermentation have allowed people to do ales and lagers at varying temps, where traditional brewing would say, oh my God, you're going to have to change the instructions for that kit. You're going to have to tell them to get it down to 50 or Fahrenheit or whatever. Yeah. But with pressure, you're able to offer basically whatever kit you want, right? Yeah. And don't get me wrong. Like in terms of the beer development, it's been a big journey. The MPD in the brewing sector, I'm actually like astounded how good it's been in terms of like supply from the supply side. So since even when we were first launching, I think in 2020, hop oils were quite a new thing back then. You might say that I can't remember. No, they are. Extract is like utilizing those at a homebrew or consumer level. Yeah, I would agree with that. Absolutely. Yeah. So when we were doing our first products, hop oils weren't a thing. It was literally malt extract, and you choose a yeast, and then hop oils came in, and we use lots of different malt extracts. There's oat and rye, and it just opened up a lot of possibilities of what we could actually brew. And then the yeast strains are just that are consistently coming out are amazing. And the lager example is perfect because that has always been clearly the most difficult style of beer for us to achieve, because for the ales we can choose a yeast strain that has a wide temperature range, right? And we do. We purposely choose one. So if someone puts it in their garage or so it's obviously temperature fluctuations affect the end result. So we want to get a yeast that has the widest range so that we mellow that down, basically. Now with lager, that was always tricky. And then
the recent launch, the Nova Lager, which I normally wouldn't say what all our yeast strains were because we spent so long working them out. But
that is the secret most of the time.
Yeah, but the Nova brand have insisted that we put it on our label.
Yeah.
Because they've obviously spent so much money developing it. So I'm happy to explain that because it says it on the label. But the Nova Lager strain has changed the dial for us in terms of what we can produce. Like it is a lager. It really is a lager. Whereas before, we're using ale strains that,
pseudo lagers is what we call them over here when you're using the ale strain or whatever. Yeah,
exactly. So the Nova Lager, which we literally launched like 2 months ago, has really changed the dial. So yeah, look, we've had, there's been a lot of trial and error in terms of finding the right ingredient, and as I say, the MPD has really, from the hop oil companies, from the malt extract guys, and from the yeast guys, has really helped us get some amazing beers.
And for the styles, what is the thought process? Is it like best case scenario? Is the whole business model here like we are making such good recipes and we're going to have more coming out that people will find a reason to continue ordering monthly, bi-monthly, whatever people brew. We have a like beer of the month kit that we do, and we have some guys that do it every month. Most of the time people sign up and they only want it every other month. Sometimes people only sign up once a quarter, whatever. But like for y'all, is the goal like we're gonna have a lot of recipes that they choose from and they pick their favorites, or is this eventually, do you think, gonna evolve to where people do their own extract in this unit? I don't know if that's even possible with how it is now. I don't think your pouches are proprietary, but I mean, like, is that the future goal? Is the community hacking, for lack of a better word, the unit and turning this into a brew system that they are not dependent on?
Yeah. So I think it's a journey. So the obviously the recipes we have developed in house are our own recipes as such. The Pinter is designed to use our kits predominantly because we've had people making their own and adding in ingredients that can actually damage the Pinter. We've had that, people have added things in that don't agree with it in terms of some of the plastics that we use. So that's why we tend to not recommend people using putting their own recipes in there. In terms of where we're going, so at the moment we've got different types. So we've got like a house range, classic range, and a hopper range, and a partnership range. And where we really want to be as a business, we want to be a platform for craft brewers, for craft breweries to showcase their beers on Pinter. And there's a few reasons for that. One is obviously it's breweries that they have their house beers that are amazing, people want to try. In the US, which is one reason why we think it's such a powerful platform in the US, is because we don't have to abide by the 3-tier distribution system. So that's why you might find, obviously some brands are nationally distributed, but lots of small local breweries can't distribute as far and wide as they'd like.
Yep.
And one is obviously transport costs. It's very expensive to ship beer from California to New York. But with Pinter, we're shipping 10%, and so we can partner with breweries in California, and all of a sudden our customers in New York can just buy that and brew those beers up. So look, we've done 4 or 5 collabs in the UK, and that really is the next step for us in the US. Is going to be about growing the partnership side of the business. And then interesting what you're saying about customers, the community. The community thing is crazy, right? Because when we launched those initial products, we were just selling through retailers. So there was no community. We were one step removed. Then when we launched Pinter, which was a D2C business, we actually launched with a Kickstarter in the UK, and we did one in the US as well, predominantly to get those early adopters and those people that are going to be your test bed for new recipes. And what we couldn't believe is the level of engagement our customers had with the product, and for better and for worse, I would say, is like a blessing and a curse, as anyone who's got a Facebook following will attest to. But this community thing was we never envisaged it before we launched the business, and it's one of our strongest things now is how passionate our customers are about the product. And yeah, so I can definitely envisage a future where you can create Josh's brew and sell it around to all the rest of the community through our platform. Yeah, for sure.
Right. So y'all's literature on the website, and when talking to Cecilia a little, what made me even think that would be the natural progression perhaps is, since y'all's launched in 2020 to present day, y'all have a community on the app, right? This isn't the number of people who bought the thing, but on the app, 85,000 home brewers in your community. I mean, the UK scene, I don't know how big it is. I imagine that's predominantly UK, as y'all's launch here has just kind of started getting off the ground. That's a crap ton of people to be in a community where, if you can foster that, in which I do think your app does a good job of trying to foster it. Like, I mean, getting people, encouraging it. Like if people get this device and brew with it and use the app, they'll know what I'm talking about, where it's like, it's very encouraging. Like, hey, why don't you make some notes on how your brew day turned out? Or, hey, but all that's brilliant because people love community. That my favorite thing about home brewing is doing it with my dad, sharing our beer with our family. Community is like the bigger part of why people homebrew. We're not just a bunch of drunks, Mom. But
exactly. No, definitely. And look, it's another reason I think the US is the right market for this product. The product market fit, I think, works really well. We've launched in Ace Hardware in the US, and the reason we chose them as our first partner was because of their grilling, the amount of sales they do in grills, basically, and it's such a social product and such a thing in your culture of hosting, cooking for people, grilling. Like Uni Pizza Oven and Gosney Pizza Ovens, they're both two amazing British brands that have both absolutely exploded in the US, and it's all around this like outdoor social hosting culture that you've got, and Pinter just literally fits perfectly into that scene.
Well, and streamlining is also like, so we have pellet grills here called Traeger, and there's a ton of different brands like it, where you'll have every niche has their snob, where they'll be like, well, that's not real smoking because you didn't stay up for 12 hours monitoring the brisket. But the reality is, I'm 38. Don't let the balding fool you. I'm young. At my age, I appreciate the more as streamlined as a process can be. So it's like, well, did the end result, was it satisfying? That's all I care about. That's really all I care about. I did something and it was satisfying.
That's right. And look, we've got customers. I think last time we checked, something like 60% of our customers had never homebrewed in their life before. 40% had, and as I said to you, I think in the before the show, like we're not here to tell people to not do all grain or we're better than all grain. It's just it can supplement, it can complement, it can or it can get someone into it and they go on to all grain. We've had both ways. We've had old all grain brewers who just don't have the time or the space, and they want to step back in terms of process. And then we've had other people who've never homebrewed, done Pinter, and gone on to all grain. It really can complement and supplement.
No, it is. It could be its own niche in the greater community of homebrewing. That's what I love about homebrewing forums, Homebrew Talk, Reddit. They don't like me. I like Reddit and they don't like me. We have a love-hate thing going on. I just self-promote too much. By that I mean I exist. But I'm saying though, there is a, like you just said already, there is a market of people who either don't need the volume of 5 gallons, or that's what's pretty standard in the US for a batch is 5 gallons. Or they don't want to buy the extra equipment, or they don't want to buy a kegerator or a teaser. Because what do you have? I should have written it down. What is the footprint? I mean, I know it is small where I have a beer fridge out here, and when it's ready to serve, I'm just going to actually set it on top of the kegs I already have in there that aren't tapped, because I don't have a kegerator. I have it open the door. I use a flow control squeeze valve and that, but then there will be the Pinter right there to try this recipe out. What is the footprint of it? Do you know?
What it has been is it's been optimized to the UK fridge. So we spent so much time around UK department stores measuring fridges, which is quite sad.
I like that.
But it's roughly like 32 to 35 centimeters depth. Now, we've gone through so many funny things over the years of basically the key thing in a UK fridge is to make sure your depth doesn't hit the milk, basically. If you hit the milk, you're screwed because they have to turn it horizontally, and then you lose that literally the whole shelf.
Yep.
So between pint of 1 and pint of 2, we actually went a bit shorter and a bit taller because people don't mind moving the shelf, but they do like losing the whole shelf. So yeah, we've gone through quite a few fridge iterations. There's also a lot of our customers who cold crash. So in between, fermenting and conditioning, they cold crash to get all the, make sure all that yeast is out and get a really clear beer at the end. But having said all of that, I don't think you'll have a problem with the US fridges. As I say, I've stayed in about 5 Airbnbs over the last 3 weeks, and I promise you
massive.
You got no problems at all.
Yeah, because we got a lot of food in our fridge, Alex. Come on, man. Look at us. We're people who love to eat. No, I had no problem. And I don't know if it's in the UK culture. I don't know. I have my biggest flex as an adult. I don't have money, but I have 2 fridges in my garage and my normal. That's like the biggest dad flex ever. I'm like, yeah. I don't know if y'all have garage fridges, if that's common.
I was going to say, you're lucky to have a garage in the UK, let alone
no kidding. Oh, you poor people. I like the day I turned 38, I started hanging out in the garage all of a sudden. I'm like, oh, my wife's like, what are you doing out here? I don't know. I just like sitting out here acting like I'm handy. It's, but the beer fridge, I've been brewing properly with my pop since 2017, but I've been brewing with my boss and in the industry since 2008. And, seeing the evolution of offerings to people has been so interesting because and like you kind of jokingly said earlier, anyone with a Facebook following, they understand for better or for worse how vocal people can be. You're gonna get people looking at your device and going, that's not really brewing and this and that, but you're not trying to satisfy the all grain brewing process. You're trying to satisfy people who want fresh beer on tap that tastes like, if it's a collab beer, it tastes like Pliny the Elder or whatever mainstream beer that y'all are going for.
That's right.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. We're not trying to replace anything. Yeah. And it's still, it's still like a fun process to be involved in. And, but the Facebook thing's funny. Yeah.
Oh, YouTube comments are my favorite too. Facebook comment, YouTube. Like, I'm a child of the internet. Like, I grew up with unrestricted internet because my parents weren't great about filtering things in my life as a kid. I saw way too much stuff, way too young. But it's given me a thick skin because when I see, we have a 1-star review of a lady who like said we had toilet humor. He thinks he's funny and he's not. She was obviously talking about me. There's a bunch of things where I wanted to make Todd, the owner of the company and the co-host. I want to make a shirt with her 1-star review and sell it on our merch store.
Restaurants to do that, right?
Because it's like people take it too serious. Don't get me wrong, and I'm probably preaching to the choir as you're making consumer goods. Retail customer feedback is coveted. We love it. But at some point you read it and you're like, you take yourself way too serious. This is not as big a deal as you're making this out to be.
Yeah, I know. I mean, look, I think it's a blessing and a curse for sure. And, what it has absolutely done is driven us so much harder and quicker and faster. And, so obviously the first few times it's upsetting, right? It's not nice. Yeah. But actually, you look back and it really drives you forward and helps you get better much quicker, for sure. Like, you know, and we still promote getting all types of feedback. So through the app, every time you finish a beer, you rate the appearance, the carbonation, the color, and it helps us build a picture of how customers are enjoying or not enjoying a specific style of beer, and helps. You know, we've relaunched 3 beers now with a new and improved recipe based on customer feedback. Now, if we didn't have that community, we never would have done that. And so, you know, it is important. You know, obviously, you'd love the tone or the way people say things to be nice all the time, but it does drive us to be better for sure. Absolutely. And you know, and that goes the same for the product. You know, you look at Pinter 3 and Pinter 1, the jump in technology in just a couple of years is insane, and that was all driven by customer feedback. So with Pinter 1, you had to every time you wanted to tap, we didn't have a flow control tap, it was just an open close tap. So every time you wanted to dispense, you had to open up the valve, let all the CO2 out, and then pour your beer. Now, the number one complaint was people didn't like having to open this valve because it was at the back of the fridge, and that's what drove us to then develop the tap that could pour at pressure. And obviously that helps the oxidation, the carbonation as well. But it was that feedback from the community that drove us to improve things. So, you know, I'm jesting obviously about the Facebook thing, but
I'm not. Genuinely, no, I'm not. How dare you? No, but
it's genuinely driven us to improve things.
Of course it did, and I love that. I envy that because it makes me petty, dude. That's all it does. It just makes me petty. Like I should be innovating and evolving this show, but I refuse because Dragonfly Lady 420 or whatever on iTunes said I suck. Well, who sucks now? Anyway, y'all have a beer subscription model. Is that what typically people end up doing, or do you find a lot more one-offs of people just picking? Like, is the average pint, because it's yielding 12 pints, I believe?
20 12 ounces.
Yeah, 20 of 12 ounces. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yes. 12 pints, which equates to about 12 ounces. Yeah.
Right. And so I don't know, like my drinking culture, believe it or not, Mom, it's not that much. Like I don't go through a lot. What do you find the average turnaround is on someone? Because the only downside I can see is, as I'm serving something here, I can't have another batch brewing without another pinter, which is fine because the process is actually very quick and easy. Mm-hmm. But what do you find the turnaround of order recipe ordering? Is there like this kind of metric you've noticed where, okay.
There's it's really complex. There's a massive difference, obviously, between customers. Our subscribe. So we do subscription model, but also recognize that some people hate subscriptions, right? So we didn't want to be one of those businesses that force you to do that. So we've got a range of customers that some subscribe, some don't, some buy and use it at Christmas and around big soccer events or around big sporting events. A subscriber, generally we do that as a monthly thing. So that's one brew a month. One really interesting thing is in the UK, and I do apologise because I don't know if. I'm not sure if we've launched a co-pinter in the US and whether we're going to or not. But in the UK, we launched a thing called a co-pinter, which was basically just the pinter part of the product, not the brewing dock. And it meant that you could have one in the fridge and one brewing at one time. So that's how you get your cycle going if you want to do more. And we've actually found in the UK, average customer has 1.7 pinters, if that makes sense. So yeah. Most of our customers have a second pinter for that reason. Of rotations. Yeah, but yeah, you're right. People aren't drinking. People aren't drinking 12 pints a week. We tend to. And the other thing is, this definitely. We haven't seen this to be. People don't just switch to pinter and that's all they drink, right? This is, as I say, this is a really great thing to supplement what you already like or your current buying habits. And so people do both. They go to the store, they buy stuff in, or they go to that local brewery, buy stuff in. So yeah, it's not one size fits all in terms of that.
First off, I appreciate you calling it soccer for us dumb Americans. Who
quickly flipped to the last minute.
I saw that. I was like, hey, who is you're in Manchester, you said, right? Who is your team?
Well, I was born in Bournemouth, which is on the south coast, so I'm a Bournemouth fan who's owned by an American called Bill Foley. But I'm getting it. I'm trying my best to get into US sports. March Madness, I enjoyed that when I was over.
Yeah,
I was quite into that.
You find it's funny. A lot of I love your average soccer fan here for English soccer. It's like Man City, very popular here. Man United, still super popular. I grew up loving Liverpool because of Steven Gerrard. But then I actually like lower tier stuff because I found it on YouTube and just find it a lot more entertaining. The highest of the low tiers. Who do I like? Like Leeds. I really like this channel called Bunch of Amateurs, Dorking Wanderers. I don't know if you know that YouTube channel. Go Dorking! But it's just so entertaining.
There's a few like that. There's one called AFC Bedford or Rail Bedford, who are owned by like a crypto guy, and there's quite a few. #United, which is like
I know #United.
Yeah.
So beyond soccer system is I like it over here. Our sports. I do like American sports. I just mean in regards to that sport, soccer.
The pyramid. It's a beautiful thing.
It's beautiful. The English pyramid, like that's the way the sport should be. It makes you more engaged as a fan. It just brings out the more passion in the players.
It's jeopardy.
Yes, it's
jeopardy. It brings out jeopardy.
It's so much better. But what I do like, bringing it back to beer. Sorry, I'm digressing. What I like about the lower tier. I think everything below national league or everything below championship can have beer within sight of playing. I would just want to root for those teams. That's the only games I want to go to.
So it's funny you say that, and I will keep this brief, but this is about beer. So my local team is called, so I live in London. I was from Bournemouth, live in London. My local team's called Dulwich Hamlets, and it's a well-known Saturday afternoon team to go and watch because of the beers. So there's a few local breweries. And you know what? If they go up too high, you can stop. It becomes regulated, like you say. So we're not that bothered about them doing well because if they get promoted, we can't drink beer at the game. So we're like happy for them to stay mid-table, basically.
Exactly. That's a win-win because they lose and you're still happy. You're like, woo, we're doing good.
Exactly. Yeah, but I do think the Pinter is tailgating. I do see that as like quite a neat solution for tailgating, right?
I do too. And so, I'll bring, thank you for reining us in. Look at that. That was good segue. For you, Alex, like for the Pinter, people listening, and let's say we've sold them on it. They're going to try it. Yeah. What is the showcase beer that is for the average person, American, Brit, or European, whatever? What is that showcase recipe of yours that you go, this is the one I think you should try first? Unless, of course, they hate the style. But I mean, what is that? Do y'all have that showcase beer?
Yeah, I'd say Space Hopper has been that was our first higher ABV or high for Brit. Yeah, I'll talk about that in a second actually. But high ABV IPA that we brought out, and American hops, and that has been our highest rated beer for quite a few years now. As I say, one of our first beers we brought out. When we launched, we only had 6 styles and maybe 4 styles and 6 beers. And then, the number one feedback was more beers, more styles. And so we've grown that range quite wide now in terms of styles. But I'd say Space Hop is our bestseller for sure. But just going back to being in the US, like we're definitely as a business, like understanding the US palate and, the tap rooms, the culture is so different in the US, but the ABVs obviously are much higher.
So high.
I think it's to do with tax, because in the UK you have bans. So the higher the ABV, the higher the tax rate on the beer. But I think that's what keeps beers generally a bit lower at breweries in the UK. Whereas in the US, you go and I'm there at lunch and I just want a session and. Like 5.5 is the lowest. Come on.
I know. You can't have more than one at lunch because it was 8% double IPA.
Yeah, exactly. And like much bigger, stronger flavors, more fruit influence, and gatto stouts and dessert stouts and things. It's different. So we are now, a lot of the beers that we're developing now are with a US focus.
And so is Space Hopper your favorite, or what is your personal favorite on the Pinter?
Yeah, I would say Space Hopper, but I'm also I really do like the new lager with the new yeast. I'm really, really chuffed with that, just because it's, like lager's been a bit of a labor of love for us over the years because of the complexities. So yeah, I'd say Sunlit Lager as well. That's one of my favorites. But I do also love the ciders, because that's like where we started, and we do love. I think cider's growing quite strongly in the US.
Yeah, it does well. It does well here.
Yeah.
A lot. And that was going to be kind of my final question. So you're a master of segues. I like it. I was going to ask, is there future plans of alternative fermentation? Because the US market, for better or for worse, younger people, I'm pointing at myself, much younger people, 21-year-olds and to 29 are like health conscious. I don't get it. But like so low ABV, low calorie, like they have a lot of this stuff on the forefront of their mind. Can this unit evolve into an alternative fermentation device for your kombuchas, cider, whatever other, you know what I mean? Like, because they still drink, but it's not necessarily big, heavy, boozy beers that they're going for.
Yeah, keep your eyes peeled. That's all I'll say. Yeah, absolutely. All of the above, is possible. Low and no ABV is harder for us. We use the fermentation to create the carbonation and the pressure. So that's a bit trickier for us to make sure you have enough carbonation. But yeah, if it ferments, you can put it in a pinter basically. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like you said, that is a lot of logistics you would have to figure out on the super low, like near beer is what we call it here.
Yeah,
because you do need the yeast to do something to
exactly. So we've done low. I think you have slightly different terminologies. We've done like a 2%. I think that's the lowest we've been to.
That's very low here. Yeah, that'd be very low.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think, low and no in the UK is like growing quite exponentially, especially in January with this thing, dry January. It's really good. I think you've got, is that the Athletic? That's quite a high growth brand.
That is a very fast growing brand. At least they advertise like they are. I see it all the time on my social. Yeah, like no alcohol beer, and I'm like, why are they showing me this?
yeah, exactly. But no, so bit more work and thought needs to go on for the really low ABV stuff. But yeah, we can do low alcohol beers, and gluten free is another one that we're looking at. And yeah, there's as you mentioned above, like things like hard seltzers and stuff, which obviously ferment really dry, low carbs basically. We can use enzymes and things like that to get the fermentation all the way down to below 1. So yeah, there's loads of stuff going on.
Yeah, it is very exciting. Where can people learn more? What's the best place that or best places that you would recommend people listening to this? Obviously, I have links in the show notes, guys, that are listening audio only, or if you're watching at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour. But where would you direct people to learn the most about this and get their hands on one?
Yeah, definitely. Just straight on our website. We're a D2C consumer product business, so we've put a lot of thought and time into the website to make sure it has all the information that answers everyone's questions. Basically, there's obviously there are forums. I think the forums are linked through the website as well, so you can go on there and introduce yourself and chat to existing customers. As I say, we should be on sale in a number of Ace hardwares, so go and support those local stores as well. I love the guys that run. They're such a great business. I'm really happy that we're stocked there. So we should be in there soon as well.
Absolutely. Like I said, all those will be in the show notes, people listening and watching. And then actually the real final question, when can I work my way into a collaboration beer for a German Kolsch? Like that would be the dream. We'll do that. So my people will talk to your people. I won't put Johnny on the spot, but
let's make it happen.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. Alex.
Can I use Nova Lager?
Yeah.
Yeast.
we will find a way to make it. We could use Kvike, whatever that, we'll make it. We'll find a way. Like I said, my people will talk to yours. But Alex, my friend,
awesome.
Thank you so much for making this happen. I really do appreciate it. Thank you all for sending me the unit, guys. Stay tuned at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour to see more content on Pinter, my unboxing video, the brew day, how it all went. And then when I finally get it done fermenting and drinking it, we'll give you our thoughts and how that turned out. So Alex, thank you for your time. And hopefully we get to talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
And that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or even better, call it in. Leave a voicemail at 325-305-6107. Thank you to our show sponsors like Muntons Malt, premium grains for a better brew day. If you aren't already brewing with Muntons, give them a try by joining a recipe receiving tier of the Trub Club. For the best hops available online, give our friends at hopsdirect.com a visit and pick up what you need for your next brew day. Also, get a pack of Imperial yeast along with premium recipes from us again when you join the Trub Club. Go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and come brew with us. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thanks for listening.